guys, thanks for coming back to my channel. Before we get started, I did want to thank you if you have recently watched any of my last two uploads, if you've commented, if you've liked the video, if you've subscribed to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. I don't really know how this whole YouTube thing works yet, but I'm slowly learning. But I do know that any activity, no matter what the activity, even if it's just a view, is really helpful for YouTube creators. So I appreciate it, and stick around because I will definitely continue uploading. Today we are going to be doing a little bit of a story time. I will say, I admit I'm not a very good storyteller. I was going to plan this out. I actually have my journal that I write down all of my vlog ideas in, and I can show you that I had already wanted to start putting down like little details so that this would be less rambly, and then I was like, you know, I got this. So we're gonna give it a shot, and actually this is shot number 2 or 10, whatever you want to believe. Eventually I'll get it right, you know, eventually. I'm sure you read the title, How We Almost Died. This was not recent. I will say this happened probably 6 or 7 years ago. And actually Jake and I are about to have our 8-year anniversary next Tuesday on April 2nd. So that's pretty exciting. Anyway, so we had only been together maybe 1 or 2 years when this story took place. To know a little bit of detail, like background information, to kind of understand, you know, where we were coming from, Jake and I had gone to visit my mom. And if I remember correctly, this was for her wedding. So I'm pretty sure it was in May 2012, approximately. My mom lives in Pensacola, and Jake and I live around the Tampa area, so this drive for us was about an 8-hour drive. Being like about 19, 20 years old at the time, we thought that it would be best for us to drive at night because we were always up really late at night anyways. There was less traffic. We just figured, you know, it'd be easier for us to get through, you know, driving on the interstate, especially being that young. We hadn't really had too much experience on the highway or on the interstate, so we thought that this would be best case scenario for our situation. When I say we decided that we would be driving late at night, really we decided that I would be driving late at night because at that time Jake had a hard time staying awake. It's not so bad recently since he's gotten like a desk job, but before this, when he was working in restaurants for a long time, the sleep schedule is just not there. If you work in a restaurant, you know that your schedule is never set like 9 to 5. Like, it's almost impossible to have a sleep schedule like regular people have. So he fell asleep very easily at, you know, very inconvenient times. He had never fallen asleep driving, but there have been close calls. So to be on the safe side, we knew that it would just be me driving. Anyway, so we had just visited my mom for her wedding, and we were leaving to come back home. We left really late at night, so we were taking I-10 from Pensacola to Tallahassee, I believe. If you are not familiar with I-10, most interstates have 3 lanes where, you know, you have the slow lane on the right, you have the regular traffic in the middle, and then you have like the passing lane on the left. This was not like that. This only had 2 lanes on both sides, and separating the 2 sides of traffic, there was this kind of like sort of ditch type median in the middle where it's just like grassy, and on the outskirts of these roads was like a little bit more grass, and then just trees. Just imagine like a wall made of trees. So nobody's on the road. We saw maybe like one person every so often coming from the other direction. Like, there was really nobody out there at all. So I'm in the left lane going probably 75 miles an hour. Jake and I are having a conversation, and the whole time that him and I are talking, I keep thinking that like I see something ahead, like something right past the headlights, but there never seemed to be anything there. I was just like, am I seeing something? No, nothing's there. Okay, we're good. This kept happening maybe like 3 times total. And, you know, I didn't say anything about it. Jake and I are still laughing, talking about whatever we were talking about. And then it happens one last time where I think I see something ahead, but I'm like, no. And all of a sudden, there was a deer, a huge deer, standing in the left lane, the lane that I was in. But they were on the furthermost, like, right side of the lane. So if you imagine them, their head was probably over the line in the right lane, but their hooves, their front hooves were like right at the line in our lane. So the rest of his body right in front of the car. There was a little bit of a gap on the left of him in between his butt and the side of the road. With as fast as I was going and as quickly as it was happening, I swerved to the left, swerved to the right to try to get around it. But when I swerved to the right, the tires lost grip. The car started spinning. We probably spun 2 or 3 times. When we finally stopped spinning, we were still moving. But I realized that we were moving backwards. And then I realized that we were facing the opposite direction of traffic. So if someone had been behind us, which luckily there nobody was, we would be facing them, yet still going the correct way, which is backwards. But it was sort of like a diagonal backwards. Immediately, we were no longer on the road. We were in the grass, going backwards in that direction, right towards the wall of trees. Now, this probably lasted a matter of seconds, maybe 7 if we're stretching it, but this was a quick experience. The whole time, I was screaming my head off. Jake says that he has never in his life heard a scream like that, and I don't think he has since, and probably won't until I have a kid. I heard childbirth is pretty horrible. It was blood curdling, and I remember it. I have never screamed like that in my life. It wasn't even voluntary. It was just like my lungs just opened up, and every bit of force that was inside of me was just coming out. And all I was thinking about the whole time was, we're gonna hit these trees. In these few seconds, I was just imagining us ramming into that wall of trees, my window just shattering all over me. Like I was expecting to be, if not dead, heavily injured. So this happens, going backwards towards the trees, and all of a sudden, we stop. We just stop. And I stopped screaming, and Jake immediately had shot his hand out and like was pressing back on me. So, you know, he like released, and we both kind of took a second to realize like, okay, we're alive. There's no glass. There was no sound. And I look, and right next to me, trees. I go to open my door. I am not exaggerating. I could not open my door more than 1 inch before I hit those trees. My mirror was like so close to touching the trees, but it wasn't hitting the trees. The only damage to the vehicle was I lost a hubcap. Of course, by this time, the deer's gone. Once I realized that we're alive and that nothing happened, I started bawling my eyes out. Probably for a good 10 to 15 minutes, I was just crying. There happened to be a man who had been going in the opposite direction. He saw our taillights facing the wrong way, so he drove through the median, came up to us in his truck, made sure everything was okay, and he helped us get our car back onto the street, and then that was it. The car was fine. It was drivable. We went to the next rest stop. We made sure everything was okay. The only damage was we lost a hubcap. It was just a crazy experience. And Jake and I joke about it all the time now. And that's like our thing. I think that's going to be a long-lasting joke where we probably are going to be getting each other deer-related items randomly throughout the rest of our lifetime. And to have gone through it with each other did nothing but good for our relationship, honestly. I have tears in my eyes. I don't know why. I haven't really, like, put myself in it again like I just did, and it's just like so crazy to me that I am still alive, but I'm also just really happy that I did go through it with Jake and that our relationship is just as strong as ever. Actually, it's 7 years stronger. So, sorry. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that with you guys this week. If you have gone through any kind of near-death experience yourself, or any experience that's just kind of like unexplainable, that just has you questioning life, let me know, because honestly, those are some of the most interesting stories. Comment below, and make sure that if you enjoyed this video, you give it a thumbs up, and check out my other videos. I plan on having at least one video up a week. I'm not sure what next week's video is going to be, but be sure to stick around, subscribe. Thanks for listening, and have a great week.